You are what you wear. A short Dvar Torah for Parashat Pekudei. When Google searching you are what you, Rabbi Google informed me that I'm first what I eat, I'm then what I do, and finally what I wear. This didn't knock my socks off, given that all three of these elements play an important role in the expulsion from Gan Eden. And perhaps it is worth devoting further thought to the subject when learning Sefer Bereshit. But, in the context of this week's parasha, I am more interested in the third sentence, you are what you wear. To give some context to the opening paragraph, let's start with a tiny difficulty that arises while reading. The order of the parashiot that seal the book of Shmot, with slight deviations, is one parasha dedicated for the commandments to prepare the Mishkan and its vessels, one commanding to prepare priestly garments, another describing the process of creating the Mishkan and vessels, and finally one dedicated to the creation of the garments. The difficulty begins when one noticed an addition that appears after the preparation of each of the priestly garments, but does not appear after the preparation of the Mishkan and the vessels, which is Ka'asher tzivah Hashem et Moshe, as Hashem commanded Moshe. Our question will be, why this difference? Rabbeinu Chaim ben Attar says that the purposes of this sentence are 1. To make sure we remember that Moshe also had a part in the work of the Mishkan. 2. That the creators uttered this sentence every time it was done, as God commanded Moshe, as God commanded Moshe. And 3. That every tangible commandment also has an inner intention expressed by the way it was received by Moshe. The problem with these three answers is that they explain why Moshe is mentioned, but not the difference between the clothes and the vessels. Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch points out that even though the sentence isn't mentioned while completing the vessels, it is mentioned when they're placed in their place in the Mishkan. The question that remains is, what makes the clothes any more prepared before they're on the Kohen? I find the next two commentaries complementary. The Meshech Chochmah explains that the difference between the vessels and the clothes is that in the actual creation of the clothes, there's a conflict between them and an existing mitzvah, the mitzvah of Shatnez. The clothes are, some of them at least, made of shesh, linen, and wool, so it's necessary to emphasize the fact that even though we're not allowed to combine wool and linen, this specific mitzvah, the mitzvah of the garments, demands us to do so. Here too, a problem rises, and that is that the Talmud does refer to the fact that there is a priestly garment made of wool and linen, but it only says it about the avnet. And if, as the Meshech Chochmah says, all the garments had this problem, why does the Talmud not refer to it as well? I think that's why Netziv explains it a bit differently. According to him, all the garments were made with slight deviations from the original commandment, but not necessarily shatnez, which is why there is a need in each and every one of them to repeat Ka'asher tzivah Hashem et Moshe. My problem is I haven't compared commands to actions yet, so I can't really say whether I agree with this statement or not, but it did get me thinking. In my view, a fundamental difference between the Mishkan's vessel and the priestly garments is that the vessels are used collectively as opposed to the priestly garments that are intended for individual use. Determined collective intentions ranges from either very simple to impossible. Whether we say it's impossible to determine a single intention for a collective or that it's determined by a uniform standard when it was created doesn't really matter. What we'll decide is the word of the law, as Hashem commanded Moshe. There's no need to repeat these words more than once while creating, since it's obvious that there's no choice. At least not until we're ready to take actual action from the individual. On the other hand, when it comes to individuals, the clothes, each one has his own objective. The wearer's intention might not match the purpose for which the garments were made. Moreover, if you are what you wear and wearing the priestly garments, the unique individuality may impair the collective purpose. It is at this point that the Torah notes that despite the personal nature of the priestly garments, no Kohen's individuality was at odds with the original objective, just as God commanded Moshe. Did you enjoy this as an individual? Do you want to be part of the collective? You're more than welcome to sign up to the YouTube channel and share this with someone else who might enjoy it as well. I am Dovi Holtz, one who loves Tanakh.